with that one. Quick up to the captain, Villeneuve. Henderson down the wing. Henderson passes out in front, and Villeneuve was taken down. Wolves came close to scoring on their first shot of the period. Villeneuve looking at the referee as well. No call, no arms in the air. Sarnia skating it out of their zone. Moved out by Cameron O'Coin. O'Coin, there's a couple O'Coins on this Sarnia club, by the way. Sarnia at the red line, firing it deep into the Sudbury zone again. Chartier, the goaltender, out to play it for Sudbury. Hands it off to the wing, and Wolves will chip it to the center ice area again. Sarnia all the way back. Nice pass up to Beamish. Pass up to Beamish, I should say. Ryan Brown deep in for the Sting. Taking it around the Sudbury net. Worked on hard by Provorov. Sarnia at the blue line. Opportunity for a shot at the blue line. It comes. Rebound. Did not actually hit the goaltender Chartier. Hit the backboards with some authority. Puck never really made its way towards the Sudbury crease. Still inside the Sudbury zone, but not for long, says Ethan Dean of Sudbury. Dean's going to chip it in. Gets run in too hard by Mitch Young of the Sting. And Sarnia now with a chance to move it out of their zone. Wolves forechecking hard. Sarnia back the other way. Chris Brown gets hit hard from behind by Dean. Free arm was out for a second. No call on the play. Brown shot coming. Stick save made by Chartier. First shot officially recorded by Sarnia. Puck goes around the Sudbury net. Picked up by Odell, who makes his return to the Wolves lineup tonight after missing, I believe, 3 weeks with an upper body injury. Sarnia skating right back into Wolves territory. Shot comes. Easy blocker save for Chartier. Wolves still without a shot in the first 3 minutes and 10 seconds of this opening period. Back and forth action. Wolves finally pick it up in their own end. Jovan leads the charge. Quick up to Mason Walker. A few new faces in the lineup tonight for the Sudbury Wolves. We'll touch on that as soon as we get an opportunity. In fact, 3 notable names, which we will be pointing out throughout the broadcast. Gonchar around the Sudbury net. He gets hit real hard in behind the Sudbury crease, but he gets the play made nonetheless. Jovan, quick up to Walton. Kieran Walton gets run in too hard by Jacob Reese. Wolves will keep the puck inside the Sarnia zone. Here's Walton at the side of the net. Pass through looking for Chauvin. Had his stick down, but it did not make its way towards the crease. Wolves will maintain possession. Nate Villeneuve over to Chauvin. Handing it off to Walton. Wolves are in behind the Sarnia net. Chauvin looking for Ferran. Ferran gets a shot off, and it's blocked by the skate of Lucas Fisher, St. Louis Blues prospect, and he'll clear the zone. Chartier back in his own net for Sudbury. Gets a pass forward to Walton, who fires a little saucer dish to Ferran. Alex Ferran to Walton. Stick lifted, and here comes Sarnia the other way. 4-on-2 rush developing. Sarnia into the Wolves' end. O'Coin is shot, and it's gobbled up by the logo area of the goaltender Chartier. So some back and forth action. Wolves without a shot, and that's already shot number 3, almost 5 minutes in for Sarnia.
Well, a couple of rollers to Quinlan in goal for Sarnia, but nothing serious. So again, both of these teams looking somewhat tentative coming up after the opening face-off. Like, okay, they're kind of just feeling each other out here.
Face-off inside the Sudbury zone. It's going to be Speedy Rowan Henderson. I'm still convinced that nickname's going to stick at one point throughout this season.
You should have that as a trademark.
It has to be.
Speedy.
I met Rowan's dad a couple weeks ago, and it has a stamp of approval. I feel like if Dad says it's okay, it's okay.
But what does Rowan have to say?
That's probably the most important question. Play continues inside the Sudbury zone, and speaking of Henderson, he's off to the races in a hurry. All the way down the wing into the Sarnia zone. Pass out in front, batted away by the stick of the goaltender Quinlan. It's not going to count it as an official shot for Sudbury. Blake Clayton for Sudbury to Barahowski. Deep inside the Sarnia zone, handing it off to Henderson. Henderson gets hit hard by O'Coin, but the Wolves doing a good job on the forecheck. Opportunity now for Barahowski. Backhand shot, and that one will count. And it's a good save made by Patrick Quinlan. Barahowski, a power play in front.
4 minutes and 57 seconds now. For some strange reason, they put 2 shots on the clock, but again, officially, the best chance for Sudbury, that backhander that Quinlan made a save on. So again, Wolves finally have a shot on goal. We're still scoreless, 5 minutes into this game, first of 2 this weekend. Don't forget the Wolves and Oshawa come Sunday just after 2.
Face off inside the Sarnia zone. Draw one cleanly by Sudbury. Villeneuve wrister comes and it's blocked in front. One of the skaters on the ice right now for Sudbury is Kingston Harris, making his OHL debut this evening, wearing a face mask. And we'll be keeping an eye on him, playing out there with Provorov and Villeneuve right now. Puck inside the Sarnia zone. Provorov on the forecheck for Sudbury. Harris is in there as well for the Wolves. Shot comes deflected into the mesh and out of play. Bodie Ryan is another player who was called up for the game this evening. 3 games played last season. 1 assist in the OHL. And then Mason Walker. This is his 9th OHL game. He's never scored. He's recorded 2 assists in total, but Kingston Harris is from Renfrew in the CCHL. Called up for the game here tonight as a lot of absences in the Wolves roster.
Mason Walker from the Greater Sudbury Cubs of the NOJHL.
Yep, absolutely. And as I mentioned, Bodie Ryan making his season debut for Sudbury after collecting 30 points in 32 games with Toronto of the OJHL. So a couple of new faces in the lineup here tonight. Play continues. 14 and a half to go in the first period. Wolves are back inside the Sarnia zone. Kingston Harris a pass out in front looking for Provorov. It was a sneaky pass, but Sarnia read it beautifully. The Sting take it back the other direction inside Wolves territory. Shot comes, blocked by Provorov, and he'll spin out of the Sudbury zone and charge his way into Sarnia's territory. Over to Ewells, who joins. Provorov drops for Villeneuve. Wrister comes high and wide. Ewells, the defenseman for Sudbury, to Harris. Harris backhand pass to Villeneuve. Wants to shoot again. Villeneuve pass out in front, deflected by Provorov. Good pressure from Sudbury. Ewells to Villeneuve, who shoots again. That one he fends on. Not having a whole lot of luck so far tonight for Villeneuve on his shots. He's had 4 attempts. None of them have hit the net so far. Sarnia back the other direction inside Wolves territory. Hudson Martin clashes with Jordan Bax, but the Wolves clear the puck all the way back into the Sarnia zone. O'Coin through the neutral zone now, across the center line, and the Wolves will clean it up defensively. Artem Gonchar to Hudson Martin. Kieran Walton off the boards. Nifty pass up to Chauvin, the LA Kings prospect. He'll take it around the Sarnia net. He's worked on heavily, though, but gets the puck back to Gonchar at the blue line. Gonchar, power move. Gonchar shot, and he rings it off the iron. He comes close. Close call for Sudbury's Artem Gonchar. That would have been a highlight reel goal, let me tell you.
Good move to split the middle and get in position for a shot.
12:45 to go in the first period. Glad to have you hanging out with us. If you're listening or if you're watching online this evening, we appreciate you tuning into some Wolves hockey. Sarnia back inside the Sudbury zone as Chartier gives the Sarnia forward a little hack on the back as he skates through his blue paint. Young at the blue line for Sarnia. A shot comes, and it goes wide of the Sudbury net. Wolves will clear to the center line, but they give it away. And so Sarnia a chance to skate it right back in. Layman's for Sarnia. Gets run into hard by Gonchar. And he gets some help from Ben Pickle. But his stick is lifted by Walton, who will then move the puck forward to Luca Blonda, who gives it away. Sarnia back the other direction, and maybe a good whistle for Sudbury there as they had a couple giveaways. Artem Gonchar has his head lifted high, looking at the beautiful ceiling inside of the Sudbury Community Arena, but I don't think he was admiring the wonderful ceiling. I think he was in a little bit of frustration there.
You can see why these teams are struggling in their respective standings and the conferences. East and West, both teams struggling and trying to get organized here in the early going. And again, it's a matter of puck possession for the Sudbury Wolves, not coughing it up in the neutral zone area, taking charge in the offensive zone and getting some plays going, forcing some pressure on Quinlan and getting the mark on Sarnia early. I mean, last night North Bay came up with a 2-1 victory, so anything is possible. I mean, Sarnia is a beatable team, so again, strike first and start taking control of this game. But again, not a finesse type game that we've seen so far.
Face-off comes just outside of the Sudbury zone. Kieran Walton coming into this game on a 5-game goal streak and also a 10-game point streak. Wolves will be looking for him to produce here this evening. Draws one by Sarnia. at the center line. They'll fire it around the Sudbury net. Picked up by Blonda. Blonda for Sudbury. Over to Odell. Odell successfully getting out, and guess who? It's the speedster. Anderson, a shot from the outside. Anderson still inside the Sarnia zone. Blonda steps in a shot, and good glove save made by Patrick Quinlan as the Wolves come close to getting the first one here tonight.
Now that was a very good scoring opportunity, and Quinlan making the save, keeping it scoreless after 8 minutes here in the opening frame. Glad you could join us for tonight. Big weekend, CTV Lions Children's Christmas Telethon tomorrow, and of course CTV here at the game. It's CTV night, and of course getting donations, getting set for the big day tomorrow. Long one for you and for me.
That's right. Face-off coming just outside of coming inside the Sarnia zone. Villeneuve wins the draw for Sudbury. Yule's a shot purposely wide of the net, looking for a deflection. But it's Sarnia picking up the loose puck. Look out. Odd man rush developing perhaps. Sarnia, shot to the net and a good block for Yules. Sarnia, another shot. That one's blocked again by Yules. Now a pass out in front. And Chartier, the goaltender for Sudbury, not needing to make a save. Here comes a shot, and he does make the save, as there's been some attention to Chartier. Very close in his crease, and a couple times he's used his goaltending stick to give a little, hey, give me some space here.
I think there might be some animosity with his former team. A lot of girls in attendance for this evening's game. Snowflake tournament underway in Greater Sudbury for today and continuing tomorrow and Sunday at various rinks across the Greater Sudbury area.
Face off inside the Sudbury zone, won by the Wolves. Yules will chip it into the Sarnia zone. Well, it looked like they might call it icing, but no. Puck slowed right down, so play will continue just outside of the Sarnia zone. The Sting pick it up at the red line, and now they just push it back to kind of clean things up defensively a little bit. And Sarnia gives it away. Walton picks a pocket, gets a shot off, and that one's blocked by Reese. Sarnia, another opportunity to clear, and they give it up again 2 times in a row. Wolves will make them pay, hopefully. Shot comes, blocker save made by Quinlan. Wolves will maintain possession inside the Sarnia zone. Walton, a backhand pass. 3rd time's a charm for Sarnia to get it out of their own end, and they do this time. And they want a full line change as well. Look out, shot deflected into the mesh. And out of play as we approach the halfway mark of the first period. Still 0-0.
We see our camera operator, Mike Corelli, getting set to portray himself as Santa Claus. He's not the official Santa. Fans at home can see this, right? Mike, smile to the camera over here.
Cool man Corelli.
Mikey, you're on candid camera.
Give a wave.
Here's the camera. Give a wave.
There we. Oh, he's got the gloves.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's got the Santa pants on, too.
Oh, yes.
That's fun.
He's got the Michael Jackson gloves going tonight.
Play continues. Cool man Corelli in the house as well. You know it's going to be a good game when Cool man Corelli is here. Inside the Sudbury zone, Wolves are on the forecheck. On the back check, sorry, I should say. Sarnia trying to dig the puck out of the corner. Got some pushing and shoving between Bax and Odell. Odell looks at the referee. And finally the puck squeaks out. Sarnia will pick it up. Brown across the blue line. His pass is picked off by big Zach Wilson of the Wolves. Big bodied defenseman back there for Sudbury. However, Sarnia will pick up the loose puck. Wolves fire at the distance across the red line with 9:45 to go in this first period. Sarnia, now they'll fire it into the Sudbury zone. That is an easy icing call to be made, though, for the referee.
Well, the Wolves are an interesting team. Streaky, as we've seen of late. Win a couple, lose one, maybe win a few more or lose a few more. But again, momentum is everything right now. Coop, don't forget OHL trading deadline in a couple of weeks. Wolves with a couple of blue chippers. I don't know what's going on in terms of trading ideas, but anything's possible between now and January 10th.
Play continues. Sarnia winning the draw, firing it into the Sudbury zone. Sarnia getting a quick line change in the process. So Wolves with a chance to move it on out of their own zone. Led by Chauvin. Chauvin gliding his way down the wing. Cuts across to the middle off the skate of big Winnipeg prospect Kieran Walton. Cannot keep it inside the Sarnia zone, so the Sting will fire it in right in behind the net of Carson Chartier. Chartier will bat it over to Blonda. Blonda has his stick lifted. Good pressure developing here and increasing from Sarnia in the second half of this first period. No score. Hudson Martin back to work on it for Sudbury. Wolves cannot clear. Shot comes. And there's a good glove save for Carson Chartier, the former Sarnia Sting.
Well, Chartier, if he knew he was going to be starting on Friday, and I'm thinking that maybe Scott Barney would have told him today, yesterday, whatever, the psychological ramp up, if you know what I mean. If you know that you're playing well in advance, you can't help but think about some of the tendencies that his former teammates have. He's fully aware, being in practice and what have you. So he's psyched, he's ready, he looks good.
Play continues. Face-off won by Sudbury inside their own zone. They'll fire at the distance. Barahowski, a pass across, looking for Clayton. And it's stolen by Young of Sarnia. Here come the Sting inside the Sudbury zone. Forecheck is on around the Sudbury net. They got a good cycle game going. Shot comes, and there's another glove save. That Trapper has been awfully busy this first period for number 1 of the Sudbury Wolves.
Good glove hand early, and of course Chartier with that big win last weekend against Brampton. So again, he wants to stay. The Wolves have 3 goaltenders right now between Chartier, Baronis, and Frasca, who should be in town shortly if he's not already in town. So everybody wants to play. Nobody wants to sit out.
And as we're speaking about goaltenders, a shot from the blue line, and it's another glove save for Chartier. And I mean, that does pose a really good goaltending battle, right, for the Sudbury Wolves, as they're looking for some of that stability in the crease.
Well, everybody wants to be number 1, but there could only be one number 1 goaltender. And again, the 16-year-old that the Wolves had on their roster sent back down to get more ice time, so it's down to Frasca, Chartier, and Baronis. So we'll see who really can emerge victorious in the goaltending battle.
Well, Baronis is the backup goaltender tonight for Sudbury. Wolves taking the puck inside the Sarnia zone. Ferran, a shot comes high and way wide. Wolves will maintain possession, though. Clayton blows a tire. Shot comes anyways, and it's a good pad save for the other goaltender, Quinlan. Sarnia inside their own ends. They'll move it forward, and Wallows will get nailed at the Sarnia blue line. Sudbury regaining possession. Henderson all the way in. Shot comes. That one's blocked by the Sarnia defenseman.
So Speedy would like that one again. He didn't get a good shot away.
Sarnia twisting and turning in their own ends. Reese playing pass and go with his fellow defenseman. And Sarnia gets as far as basically their own blue line, and then it's stolen by Ferrans. Wolves give it right back, and so Sarnia will fire it into the Sudbury zone. Blonda for Sudbury, behind the Wolves net, up to Odell. To Ferran. Alex Ferran across the red line, receives a nice little pass. Ferran, stick lifted. And so back the other way will come Sarnia. Sarnia moving it around in their own ends. O'Coin, little burst of speed, moves it forward. Cross ice pass stolen by Sudbury's Ferran, who then has his stick lifted. And so Sarnia regains possession. 7:05 to go in the first period. Waiting our first goal, 0-0. Sarnia back the other direction. Puck deflected into the Wolves' ends. Around the boards, it'll be newcomer Mitch Young. And an icing call is going to come against the Sudbury Wolves. So face-off comes right back into the Wolves' territory.
That was weird. The puck just shot up, rolling down the ice. Nobody made an attempt, coming all the way back for that icing. So, again, you got to get your ducks in order. Everybody's got to be on the same page and in terms of trying to orchestrate that the breakout pattern and to avoid these face-offs deep in your own end.
Face-off comes inside the Sudbury zone. Villeneuve, Chauvin, and the newcomer Kingston Harris out there for Sudbury. Draws one, though, by Sarnia. Sarnia cannot keep possession inside the Wolves' end. Blonda pulls it right back for the Wolves. Blonda loves to skate. He's being watched carefully by Liam Beamish. Wolves will get it to the center line, and then it's taken over again by Sarnia. Chauvin taking his man down. Pass out in front. That one's blocked. Bodies are being thrown left, right, and center. Walton picking up the loose puck. Pass out in front. Chauvin couldn't get it on net. He'll follow the puck to the corner. Now at the blue line is Martin. Martin off the boards looking for Walton. Walton pass out in front, deflected by Chauvin. Trying to get his stick on the puck. That time stick was lifted. As look out, Nate Villeneuve with a pretty hefty hit in front of the Sarnia bench. Wolves with a steal inside the Sarnia zone. Villeneuve backhand pass in front of the Sarnia net. And a big hit thrown by Zach Wilson. The big defenseman for Sudbury stepped into the Sarnia man, and that's one of those hits that'll take the wind right out of your sails.
I like that one.
Sarnia back the other direction. Gahan, drop pass for his fellow line mates. Sarnia inside the Sudbury zone, but for how long? Not too long. Zach Wilson being shadowed by a couple different Sarnia skaters. Hudson Martin gets a pass over to Wilson. Wilson using his long reach to get it at least out of the Sudbury zone. Sarnia finds it, and they'll fire it right back. 5 and a bit to go in the first period. Wilson throwing another big hit in behind the Sudbury net. Wolves chasing down the loose puck. It's Mason Walker. Again, back into the Sudbury lineup this evening. Walker out there with Bodie Ryan, his first shift. And a big hit thrown by Mason Walker in behind the Sarnia net. That's exactly how he plays as well. Wolves inside the Sarnia zone. Hewells pass out in front, taking a wicked bounce. Mason Walker throws another big hit. Good forechecking pressure from Sudbury right now. Fans are loving this kid, number 16 for Sudbury, Walker.
Well, the fourth line doing what they should be doing out there, creating a disturbance.
And then Gahan gets a late hit, throws a late hit, on Walker. Some new faces in the Sudbury lineup making an immediate impact. Puck is inside the Sarnia zone. Now they'll move it out. Full line changes on both sides. Sarnia all the way into the Wolves' end. Pass out in front, stolen by Henderson. He blows a tire. And so Sarnia will find the loose puck, firing a blind pass across. A lot of heavy hits being thrown now at the tail end of this first period. Ewell's working on his man. Sarnia a pass out in front, and it's stolen by Barahowski. Barahowski will take it to the center line, batting it in without taking icing. Sarnia will be forced to retreat in their own end. Around the Sarnia net goes Barahowski. Barahowski off the boards to Henderson. Henderson overskates the puck, as does Clayton. Barahowski on the forecheck as well. This line doing some good work for Sudbury. However, Sarnia able to lob at the distance, not enough for icing. In baseball, that arm gesture would be you're safe.
You're safe, but
in hockey, it's no.
Good effort to get it. It wasn't going to cross the line. There you go.
So the Wolves will change up skaters. Sarnia will change up skaters. Comes to pretty much a halt inside the Sarnia zone. Now they move it forward. Out of the Sarnia ends. Diorio moving it forward to Challenger. Challenger looking back to the blue line, decides to put it around the Sudbury net instead. Odell was there waiting. Odell gets it to the Wolves blue line, but it's still kept inside Sudbury's territory. Under 3 to go in the first period. 0-0 if you're just joining the broadcast tonight. Sarnia wraparound opportunity. A little pad save made by Chartier. Sarnia passing it around to the blue line. Young, a shot purposely wide, goes off the back of the Sudbury net. Found by Ferran, but picked up by Sarnia. Sarnia, some good pressure right now. Another shot purposely wide, trying to get that rebound off the backboard. Dean for Sudbury getting it to the center ice area. And it's Sarnia moving it around again. Shots 8-5 in favor of the Sting. Ewell's around the Sudbury net for the Wolves. Up to Villeneuve. Villeneuve waiting for a little bit of help. A little backhand pass to Walton, who glides his way into the Sarnia zone. Shot comes, deflected wide. Sarnia will just bat at the distance all the way into the Sudbury end. Icing's not going to be called with 2 minutes to go. And look out, a Sarnia skater tripped and fell right into the Sudbury crease. And he got an earful from Chartier. Villeneuve firing it into the Sarnia zone. Villeneuve with Chauvin and Walton. And now the Sting with the loose puck. Sarnia sending it into the Sudbury zone. Look out, a steal. Pass out in front. What a save for Carson Chartier. I'm not sure what happened to the Wolves defensively there, but it was all of a sudden a breakaway. In fact, it was a 2-on-0 inside the Sudbury zone, and Chartier makes the biggest save of the period. But now the other direction, a stretch pass for Villeneuve. Close call as Sarnia comes so close to getting the first one here tonight after a bit of a defensive lapse for Sudbury.
At least Chartier was awake on that play. I don't know, hard to determine what actually happened on that breakdown. Loose puck and the Sting with a great scoring opportunity. The best one so far in this period for both teams, and it's still scoreless. 9-5 shots on goal for what they're worth. We've got $1:22 left in the first.
Play continues. Shot from Sarnia at the blue line. Another glove save for Chartier. And honestly, in that last sequence, I don't know what happened with Sudbury. The other defenseman was kind of still by the blue line. It looked like maybe he thought the play was dead or something. And then all of a sudden, it's a 2-on-0. Little forehand, backhand move in front, and Chartier with a massive blocker save to keep this one tied at zeros.
Well, we've seen a load of mistakes from both teams in the last couple of weeks here. Even the London Knights, defending Memorial Cup champions, some big names making mistakes at the blue line. So stuff does happen, Coop, and breakdowns do occur.
Face off inside the Sudbury zone, won by Sarnia at the blue line. Wrister comes, and it's stolen by Henderson. Henderson hands it off to Clayton. Clayton with Barahowski into the Sarnia zone. Barahowski passes out in front, deflected by Clayton, who gets nailed in along the boards, but the Wolves will maintain possession. Henderson's shot comes, and it's blocked into the corner. Barahowski, good pressure from Sudbury. Final minute of play in the first period. Wolves trying to make this a 1-0 lead after the opening frame. A pass goes back to the blue line, and Blondo was not there, so he's forced to retreat all the way back into the Sudbury zone. Look out. Near giveaway, and yes, it is given away. A pad save for Chartier again. He bails out his defenseman. Sarnia still inside the Sudbury zone. Final 30 seconds of the opening frame. Couple monstrous saves for Chartier at the tail end of this period. Sarnia inside the Wolves' ends, trying to move it around. And they do. Good pressure from the Sting, but good active sticks for Henderson. And look out, puck deflected into the Sudbury bench with 17.1 on the clock to go. And we'll get a whistle here.
You can't keep on doing that. Lapses in your own end, because the next time Sarnia may score, but again, a breakdown defensively for the Wolves. Sarnia quick on the puck, and Chartier doing what he has to do to keep this game scoreless with just a few ticks left on the clock here in the first.
Face off just to the side of Carson Chartier. Inside the Wolves' end, Nate Villeneuve, the captain for Sudbury, going to take the draw. Tossed from the face-off dot is Jack Van Volsten. Stepping in was his line mate, who wins the face-off, gets a shot from the blue line. Sarnia, another shot from another angle. Where is it? Gobbled up by Chartier. Had to look to his side for a real quick second. And so Chartier has been the busier of the two goaltenders here so far tonight.
Well, coming off a big win last weekend, and he's on a roll of late, so keep him in there. Let's see what he can do.
Face off inside the Sudbury zone, won by the Wolves. Final seconds are going to tick down of this first period. Villeneuve inside the Sarnia zone, and that'll pretty much do it for this opening frame. As now we get some pushing and shoving. Alex Ferran, Villeneuve are having an extended conversation.
Cameron O'Coin and Villeneuve exchanging words, and Villeneuve did not like being impeded by Cameron O'Coin, so that's what that exchange was all about, and they're still yakking. I'm sure that'll pick up. That's to be continued into the second period.
Part B of that three-part series will come very, very soon, I'm sure of it. So, shots end up being 12-6 in favor of the Sting after the opening period. Rick, I think you'd agree with me when we say that the period kind of started off a little on the slower side. It was like they were both trying to find their stride a little bit. Things started to pick up, about halfway through that first period. No penalties to report on. No goals, a bunch of shots, and the pace was all right by the end.
Well, the Wolves have got to get something going. They can't continue at this pace right now. A couple of breakdowns in their own end, Coop, and you know as well as I do that you start falling behind, it gets far more difficult to start rallying in the second and third period. So for a road game for Sarnia, that's a good start for them in the first. They had the better of the chances in that first, and who knows what the second and third will bring right now, but you've got to give Sarnia a bit of an edge only because of those breakdowns that we saw late in the first period here.
Well, Rick and I will step out for a break. In about 15 minutes' time, we'll be back to take you through second period action. It is tied up at zeros after the first period of play. Shots 12-6 in favor of Sarnia. You're watching and listening to Wolves Hockey.
You know what? Still better experience the game. Some would say we were interactive before interactive was interactive. And did we make some mistakes? Maybe a couple. But we think we've really nailed it this time. Shoot it, say it, call it. Only at the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Adventure bigger in all new Nissan Armada.
No matter what path you take, Desjardins and its network of partners have a variety of resources to help you find your way in every aspect of your life.
Reputation is hinged on the commitment to match exceptional talent with opportunities in the mining sector. With one of the most extensive databases of skilled laborers in mining, manufacturing, and industrial sectors in Canada, Lavaire's approach ensures faster talent identification and better job fits. Whether you're seeking recruitment support in general labor or construction and mining, our expertise will equip you with seasoned professionals that align with your requirements. Talk to us today.
Sales switch from Sunlight, the business communications platform that does a lot more than one thing, like send or receive text messages from your business. The Soul Switch business communications platform. It can do that.
Enjoy live, local entertainment, and get into the holiday spirit. You can watch in person at Vista Zone on the CTV channel or tune in and watch live on Crave TV. Telethon takes place from 2 to 11 p.m. tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Oh, awesome. Yeah, for sure. Okay, it's awesome.
Yet, but
Okay.
Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, I haven't decided.
And we're back at the Sudbury Community Arena. Brian Cooper, Rick Wyman, yours truly, getting ready for period number 2. You know, Coop, he's just a favorite here at the arena, talking to the fans, hanging out with Corelli Boy Santa Claus tonight, and countless others. Like, you get accosted for autographs and pats on the back all the time. Like, your wife must be envious. Sarah must be envious.
No, she's not. But no,
I'm envious.
It is.
You're just like a rock star here.
No.
I'm just a weather guy. You're the rock star.
not just a weather guy. You are responsible for all of the weather that happens in Northern Ontario. Rick.
And people let me know all about
That's
it
right.
too.
That's right. Either way, we're glad together to bring you through some second period Wolves action here at 0-0. Shots were 12 in favor of Sarnia, 6 for Sudbury after the opening frame. And here we go, set to kick things off. Ferran, Walton, and Chauvin to start for Sudbury. Draw is won by Sarnia. They'll launch it into the Sudbury zone right off the hop. Odell back there for Sudbury, playing it over to Blonda. Sarnia stealing the puck right back. Pickle at the blue line, cross ice pass, and Sarnia is forced to put the reverse lights on. They will bat it back into the Sudbury zone right away. Sarnia inside Wolves territory. Getting a shot. That goes wide. Again, 0-0 after a total of 18 shots combined in that first period. Puck is hemmed in along the corner inside Sudbury zone. Wolves finally fish out the loose puck, and Blonda will move it forward. Blonda, saucer dish over to Odell. Odell looking for Walton, who overskates the puck. Odell will come and chip in as well, and the Sting will take it right back. Opportunity for Sarnia. Shot comes. Stick save made for Chartier. Another rebound opportunity. That may have gone off the post. Wolves come back the other way. 2-on-1 rush developing. Chauvin waits. Pass out in front looking for Walton. That was beyond his reach. Sarnia will come back the other direction. Puck is still technically inside the Sarnia zone. And here comes Edwards. Shot right off the mask of Chartier and into the back of the net. That was a weird one. But it's a 1-0 game in favor of Sarnia.
Rebound and quickly picked up. And after Chartier made the initial save, just swept under his right leg. So again, you can see the shot taken initially from the edge of the faceoff circle. Then puck bounced right out to in front and swept in. 1-0 game. And again, someone's got to be there to pick up that guy, make sure he doesn't get that second shot away.
11th of the season for Beckham Edwards. 1-0 Sarnia after a bit of a strange one. And after a real strong first period for Carson Chartier, who made some highlight reel saves as well. You kind of feel for him after that one, after Edwards was let alone in front of the net.
Well, he made the initial save on the first shot.
That's right. Wolves back into the Sarnia zone, trying to get the equalizer. Gonchar, cross ice pass to Yules, who will hand it off to Clayton. Clayton right back to Yules, couldn't shoot. Henderson, pass out in front, looking for Barahowski. Barahowski back to the blue line, Yules picks it up. Yules, a shot deflected high, into the mesh, and out of play. And now we got some pushing and shoving, and looks like Mason Walker. No, that was Blake Clayton, I should say, and he might be going off to the penalty box. And yes, he is. So first goal of the game, and now our first penalty of the game.
That's an after the fact penalty, Coop. And again, Clayton, not the type of penalty you want to take at this stage after Sarnia just goes up by a score of 1-0. Not even 2 minutes gone here in the period, and the Sting on the power play for the first time.
Face-off will be inside the Sudbury zone. Wolves on a penalty kill. Ranked 10th in the OHL on the PK. And Sarnia, believe it or not, in the top 5 when it comes to power plays in the Ontario Hockey League. Ranked number 4. So they're going to get to go to work for the first time here tonight. Face-off is won, though, by Sudbury. Blonda hooked down. Cannot clear the puck. Puck is just in behind the Sudbury net. Blonda, another chance to take a swing at it, and he does. Wolves eventually poke it free thanks to Henderson. Anderson going the distance, shorthanded. Anderson around the Sarnia net, held on to by Young. And now we've got an arm in the air, and it's going to be a penalty against Sarnia. So that power play is done, as Henderson was hung on to, and that will be a penalty. Going off to, I believe it's going to be Manza of the Sarnia Sting. So
it's either a hold or an interference.
Oh, a high stick, actually.
High stick.
So there we go. Power play is done after just a few seconds. And that was we've got some 4-on-4 hockey.
Saw a little bit of clutch and grab over there. Then after, I guess, the stick went up just a little too high for the referee's liking, and 4-on-4.
Face off inside the Sarnia zone. Chauvin to take the draw for Sudbury. It's won cleanly by the Sting. Reese will just slowly pull it back behind the Sarnia net. He'll hang out there for a couple of seconds. Now move it forward to Diorio. Picked up, though, and stolen by Zach Wilson. Sarnia back in their own ends. Now they put it to the center line. Diorio will pick it up again. Across the red line he goes. Quick up to Bax. 1-0 Sarnia. Beckham Edwards from Young and Huelos. Wolves trying to keep the puck outside of their own zone. Sarnia across the red line goes Reese. He's going for his skate around the Sudbury net. Cuts across the middle. Look out. Dangerous bounce. Landed right in front of Carson Chartier. He lost it, but Kieran Walton found it. Walton's dancing around in the Sudbury zone. Now he hands it off to Chauvin. Chauvin, one move. Quick up to Walton, who goes for his skates inside the Sarnia zone. Nearly taken out. Walton around the Sarnia net. Wraparound opportunity, back to the blue line. Gonchar, little nifty new move off the boards, as the Wolves have some good pressure inside the Sarnia zone. Chauvin trying to push the puck forward as Walton takes his man down. Sarnia going around their own net. Gonchar on the forecheck for the Wolves. Gonchar in deep. Walton back there to help out as well. Blonda is going to be pushed way back into the Sudbury zone. Clayton just about to step out of the box for the Wolves, and the Wolves will have a very, very short power play. About 20 seconds in total. Villeneuve, shot coming inside the Sarnia zone. That one's blocked neatly by Jacob Reese, and that stung him as he hobbles his way back to the Sarnia bench. He'll have to be looked at after. One thing we know about Villeneuve, well, he can drop the mitts, but man, can he dangle, and man, can he shoot.
Very heavy shot, in a situation like that with Reese taking that shot, sometimes you get a piece of it. As a referee, I've been hit a gazillion times in my non-illustrious refereeing career. You don't know where that puck's going to wind up, but when you get home and you're really black and blue, then you know the effects. And someone says, "What happened to you tonight?"
Face off inside the Sarnia zone, 15:59. And as I mentioned, Wolves on a power play for 18 seconds. Villeneuve going to take the draw for Sudbury against Liam Beamish. Draw one cleanly by Villeneuve. Wolves set up on the power play. Kingston Harris out there making his debut tonight. Getting back to Blonda, to Villeneuve. Villeneuve cross ice pass to Yules. The shot comes deflected into the not in the mesh, into the glass, sorry. And that power play is seconds away from being done as Manza steps out of the box. Sarnia deep inside the Sudbury zone. Big hit thrown behind the Wolves net by Yules, and Sarnia will pick up the pressure. Another shot out in front. Blocker save made by Chartier. Anderson turns the Jets on across the red line. Gives the puck up to the goal scorer, Edwards. Edwards will put it off the boards and to the center line for Sarnia. That's kind of where the puck will stop, eventually back into the Wolves zone. Blonda, backhand pass to Yules, who's further back inside the Sudbury zone, who will pound it off the boards right onto the stick of the Sarnia forward. Edwards for Sarnia, jumping into the Sudbury zone. Offside is called, and so faceoff comes just outside of the Sudbury zone.
Big game coming up on Sunday. Oshawa Generals in town. Just after 2, David Bowen will drop by for the play-by-play. And again, that's crucial for the Wolves in terms of their bid for a playoff spot. Got to play teams in your own conference and win those games. And again, A good start would be a win over Sarnia this evening, but the Sting on top by a score of 1-0 after close to 5 minutes of play gone here in the second.
Sarnia winning the face-off as well, firing it deep into the Sudbury zone. Wolves will skate it out of the Wolves territory, eventually into Sarnia's area, and icing is going to be called against the Wolves. And so a face-off right back into the Wolves zone, and a couple of those new faces are out there right now. Bodie Ryan for Sudbury wearing number 95, and also Mason Walker not making his OHL debut. This is his 9th OHL game in total. He's never scored though in the OHL. Just
recorded the first time.
Recorded a couple assists. Face-off won by Sudbury. Ryan will get it to the neutral zone. Quick up to Provorov, who dangles his way into the Sarnia zone. Quick up to Walker. Walker can't keep it in for Sudbury, so back the other direction comes Sarnia. Sarnia, opportunity, pass out in front as Chartier was down. Rebound will come back to the blue line. Big wind-up slapper for James Barr. Sarnia doing a good job right now, maintaining possession inside the Wolves' ends. Still 1-0. Shots are now 17 for Sarnia and just 6 for the Wolves. Wolves will skate it back the other direction. Mason Walker wiring it around the Sarnia net. Provorov on the wing. He'll be helped out by Bodie Ryan. Bodie Ryan and Walker overskate the puck, and so back the other direction comes Sarnia. Van Volsen, shot comes, a block was made by Blonda, and then a glove save for Carson Chartier as that one took a wicked bounce off the backboards.
And he was wise to grab that puck quickly because that would have bounced right in front of the crease. And you never know sometimes, but Chartier keeping this a 1-0 game, victimized in the first, making the first save, but the rebound came out, and lo and behold, it's a 1-0 game, and Sarnia just plodding along. That's about the best way to describe this game so far. Both teams just plodding along. A couple of breaks for Sarnia in the first. They cashed in, and now here we are in the second period, and the Wolves have got to start generating their own breaks to get back into this game.
Well, look, back in the first period, it was about the 5-minute mark when the Wolves got their first shot, and we're almost in a similar situation, actually beyond that. 13:51 to go in the second period. Wolves have yet to record a shot on net in this second period. Face-off inside the Sudbury zone as Chartier gets himself set up inside the Sudbury crease. Blake Clayton to take the draw for Sudbury against Gahan. Draw one cleanly by Sudbury's Clayton. And now there's a big pile up and along the boards. Haven't seen a whole lot of rough stuff between these two clubs here tonight. Battle won by Sudbury and along the boards, and the Wolves will move it out. Odell joining the rush for Sudbury. Odell, a wrister, deflected high. Into the mesh, out of play, and a whistle is a result.
Wolves can't get an inside game going here and getting some good opportunities like we've seen in the past. They're actually the last couple of games, but right now Sarnia just kind of choking off that inside, and no one's wheeling and dealing, getting those passes to connect and what have you. So maybe the Wolves will just have to go to a simple dump and chase and try to come up with the puck in the corners or along the boards and make something happen.
Face-off inside the Sarnia zone. Chauvin for the Wolves, face-to-face with Alessandro Diorio. Draw one cleanly by Sudbury. Walton, a shot, pad save made for the goaltender Quinlan. That is his first save that he's been forced to make this period. And that was courtesy of Kieran Walton, who, of course, leads the OHL in shots. O'Coin and Walton having a good battle in front of the Sarnia net. Sting will skate it to center ice. And it's stopped by Sudbury. Chauvin turning it back with a burst of speed. Chauvin waits. Shot, high, wide. Kept in just barely by Martin of Sudbury. His shot picked up by Walton. Walton for the Wolves at the blue line. He's poke checked back further inside the Wolves end. And Walton will go for his skates. Stick lifted, still has it. And now he'll misplay the puck, and so Sarnia a chance to come back the other direction. Potential 2-on-1 rush. Sarnia couldn't get a shot off. Sarnia deep inside the Sudbury zone. They will keep the puck inside the Wolves' end. Shot comes, blocker save made for Chartier. More like his shoulder as he came flying across to make that save. Sudbury will pick it up. Barahowski lobbing it to the center ice area. Walton finding it. Kieran Walton for Sudbury, trying to do a little dipsy doodle. Had his stick lifted and back the other direction comes Sarnia. Sarnia waits. Can't get a shot off, but they maintain possession. The sting from the outside shot comes, and another glove save for Carson Chartier, and that trapper has been very busy this game. Now the shots are 19-7 in favor of Sarnia.
Sudbury's got to get something going here. We're almost there, really near the midway mark of the first. Almost 8 minutes gone here, Coop, but again, lackluster offensive performance so far for Sudbury. They've got to get it going.
Face off inside the Sudbury zone. Villeneuve to take the draw for Sudbury. He'll kick it back to Artem Gonchar. Gonchar, little backhand pass to big Zach Wilson. Wilson for Sudbury. Stretch pass intended for Henderson. Beyond his reach, icing is called. As now Reese and Henderson come face to face with a bit of a conversation. Extra hack, extra whack. And the referees, all three of them will step in to make sure that doesn't proceed to anything else.
Say what you will about some members of the Sudbury Wolves. Rowan Henderson, from start to finish, last year, this year, goes full tilt on every shift. Not afraid to initiate, and if he has to, maybe get something started here to spark the Wolves.
Face off inside the Sarnia zone. Kingston Harris in his OHL debut for Sudbury wins the draw. Villeneuve back at the blue line. Wilson wind up slapper. Pad save made by the goaltender Quinlan. That's the Wolves' second shot this second period from pretty much the exact same spot where Walton shot from as well. Wolves back in their own end. Gonchar. Now they'll go for a skate. He's tripped up, and that's going to be a penalty against Sarnia.
Oh, that's a terrible penalty for Sarnia. But anyways, the Wolves will take advantage of it.
So goaltender's out. Extra attacker on. Sarnia will be penalized. Walton goes the distance into the Sarnia zone. Extra attacker is out. Walton cross ice pass to Villeneuve. Villeneuve can't shoot. Takes it across the blue line. He's going to be pressured by backs. Villeneuve inside the Sudbury zone. Burst of speed goes Villeneuve. Villeneuve still has the puck inside the Sarnia zone. Drop pass to Walton. Kieran Walton to Villeneuve. Villeneuve is flying out there right now for Sudbury. Puck on a string. Villeneuve waits. Stick lifted, and Sarnia touches the puck. Therefore, power play incoming for the Wolves.
Villeneuve has got to use his other players on the ice in that sequence right now. You can't do it all by yourself, but this is a brutal penalty by Sarnia right here near the midway mark of the period. But again, Wolves will take full advantage of it after one of the Wolves managed to get tripped up in the neutral zone. Pretty obvious, Coop. I could have called that one.
Tripping call. Beamish is the penalized skater for Sarnia. Wolves, again, ranked 9th on the power play in the OHL. And they go to work looking for the equalizer. They're inside the Sarnia zone after a face-off win. Gonchar takes it to the wing. Off the boards, back to the blue line. Walton picks it up. One-time shot for Villeneuve in front. And that's blocked. Sarnia will skate it out. Pickle, one-on-one with Walton. Pickle cuts across, and a good poke there for Kieran Walton of Sudbury. Villeneuve out of the Sudbury zone, cross the red line. Nate Villeneuve handing off to Chauvin. Walton, a shot purposely, well, looked like it was going to go wide. Coming out to play it, though, was Quinlan, as he kind of ran into his defenseman. There's James Barr standing right there and settles it down for a face-off.
Coop, you have a big week coming up in Sudbury. Can you elaborate as to your annual drive, which has always been successful?
Yeah, we've got a diaper drive coming up for the Pregnancy Care Center and Infant Food Bank this coming week. Yeah, it's our 8th annual.
And you've always met your goal.
Yeah, looking for 1,000 cases of diapers and wipes this coming week. So our 8th annual set up in the new Sudbury Center parking lot. Should be fun. Face off one inside the Sarnia zone. Sudbury is shot, and it's in the back of the net. They're going to call it a good goal. And it's Nate Villeneuve. Tie game.
Coop, that's what I've been talking about. Initiate. Pass the puck around. One-timer on the shot. Villeneuve gets the goal. Make things happen. Now we've got a hockey game. We're tied at 1. But it took a half game to get something going.
Beautiful set play on the power play. In fact, the Sarnia net is still off its moorings completely. The net came off after the puck went in the back of the net. Referee signaled that it was a good goal. And he just signaled a thumbs up. Nate Villeneuve, a power play goal. I believe that Walton will get an assist. And if that's the case, this will be now a 11-game point streak for Walton. We will await official word, and yes, Walton and Barahowski pick up the assists on that goal. So an 11-game point streak now for Walton, and we got a tie game halfway through the second period. It's taken a little bit for the Wolves to pick up their offense this frame. They needed a power play to do that, and that is how the game of hockey works sometimes. Wolves unable to get out of their own zone. Here's Reese creeping in. A shot comes, shoulder save made by Chartier. Alex Ferron taken down inside the Sudbury zone. Sarnia will wire it right back in around the Sudbury net. Fans are right back into this one as well. Around the Sudbury net goes Yules. Yules gets hit hard. Sarnia, opportunity to shoot, and they do. Puck is bouncing around like crazy in front of the Sudbury net. Chartier bats it out. Wolves having some issues getting out of their own zone. Sarnia at the blue line. Reese, the shot comes, blocked by Dean of Sudbury. Ferran gliding his way through the neutral zone. Yules will bat it around the Sarnia net. 9 minutes and a bit to go in this second period. Wolves another shot on. There's a good pad save made by the goaltender Quinlan. Nate Villeneuve, his 11th of the season from Walton and Barahowski. Speaking of the Wolves, they're inside the Sarnia zone right now. They got a shot that was blocked. And the Sting fire it back into the Sudbury zone. Wolves on the forecheck. Provorov chasing. Sarnia gets it to the center ice area. Back into Wolves territory. Blonda going for a skate, handing it up to Bodie Ryan. Sarnia all the way back in their own ends. Lucas Fisher, the only NHL draft prospect. Look out. Draft pick, I should say, from this Sarnia Sting club, and the puck came up and oh my, hit a fan right in a dangerous spot. That is a scary situation as fans are calling for paramedics. That is that's scary. That's some scary stuff. We wish all the best for that fan who just took that puck to the head.
You've got to be on the lookout time and time again.
Yeah. And this is why we have paramedics in the building at all times. Now that fan did give a thumbs up, so that's good news. Play continues. Sarnia back into the Sudbury zone. And that was just a harmless deflected puck up and over the glass. Deep inside Sudbury's territory. Wolves trying to get it out of their own zone. Anderson fishing out the loose puck, and he gets it to the center ice area, and that's about as far as he goes. Diorio for Sarnia, right back into the Wolves' end. Handing it off to Pickle. Pickle gets nailed by Henderson. Now bodies flying left, right, and center. Sarnia.
You like that expression, don't you? Bodies flying left, right, and center.
Yes, sir, Bob. Wolves right back into the Sarnia zone. Around the Sting's net, picked up by the goaltender Quinlan, stolen by Sudbury. Barahowski out in front, Clayton. Man, looked like it was going to be a sure goal. Quinlan even looked behind him. Somehow it ended up in the corner. I have no idea how. Sarnia right back in as Anderson mixes it up with O'Coin. Anderson at the center line, backhand pass to Clayton. Clayton makes his way into the Sarnia zone. Shot comes, stick lifted. 7 minutes and 15 seconds to go in the second frame. Kingston Harris for the Wolves will make his way into the Sarnia zone. Down the wing, shot comes, deflected in front. Wouldn't that be something if we saw a first OHL goal here tonight at Sudbury Community Arena? Offside is called against Sarnia. 7:01 to go in the second period.
Sorry, that's just a direct impulse. Every time I see an offside, I even do it on the NHL games. As a referee,
all right,
you've got to react, so you call offsides.
There you go. Face-off just outside of the Sudbury zone. Puck was dropped. We're going to do a little redo. Face-off won cleanly by Sudbury. Play resumes, tied up at ones. Artem Gonchar all the way back for Sudbury. He'll creep his way forward. Little drop pass for Zachary Wilson. Wilson, the big defenseman for Sudbury, will chip it into the Sarnia zone. Stinger moving it around along the boards. Good pressure, though, from Sudbury. Here's Villeneuve. Tripped up in front of the Sarnia net, looking at the referee, shaking his head no. No call on that play. Sarnia back the other direction. Around the Sudbury net come the Sting. Pass out in front, stolen by Villeneuve. Nate Villeneuve for Sudbury, throwing a hit. Maintains possession of the puck all on his own. And look out, Nate Villeneuve is out on a mission to get some physicality going this second period. Sarnia inside Wolves territory. 6 and a bit to go in the second period. Shots 21-11 in favor of Sarnia. Wolves a chance to clear, and they are unsuccessful at that. So Sarnia a chance, they get a shot. A little pad save made by Chartier.
I don't know how he saw that puck.
I don't know, I went through like 4 or 5 skaters. Sudbury a chance to move it out. Walton does, not enough for icing, so good play by him. Wolves will get their full line change done. Sarnia firing it into the Wolves' ends. Icing's going to be called against the Sting, so face off all the way back into the Sarnia zone.
Are the kids getting antsy with Christmas coming up in 20 days?
Oh my goodness, my 6-year-old has had a countdown going for at least 2 weeks. Every day she reminds me, Dad, it's this number of days until Christmas. It's this number of days now. Oh yeah.
And you're the lucky one right now with you and Sarah and the kids, because it's been a while since I was able to enjoy that with my kids, but it's just one of those things that you can't help but feel that infectious glee.
Oh yeah.
The kids are excited and they're counting down the days and they know they're going to be on holidays, and it's really a great time of the year for the kids. It's not a great time for everyone, but a lot of people trying to make the best of the situation. But the kids, they are so much inclined to be over the top at this time of the year. It's great.
No
great
shortage of energy, right? They are just fully absorbed in it. They love it. We're a family who does quite a bit of traveling too, so they're excited to see their grandparents and cousins and aunts and uncles. Play continues inside the Sarnia zone. Draws one by Sarnia. It's a 2-on-2 rush the other way. They'll poke the puck deep inside Wolves territory. Ewell's back first, handing it off to Hudson Martin. Martin up to Ferran for Sudbury. Over to Chauvin, nifty little flutter pass over to Walker. Mason Walker for Sudbury. Getting called up for the game here tonight. A lot of absences in the lineup tonight for Sudbury. Wolves are on the forecheck. That net is off its moorings again, the exact same side.
Well, Quinlan could be inadvertently knocking the net off its moorings, simply sliding across, sometimes the skates or a pad, and the fans think it might be deliberate. That's kind of difficult to prove at this time, but now the linesman's looking for some help from the arena to maybe get the situation rectified in the crease area.
Well, I mean, just a few minutes ago when Villeneuve scored his goal, the exact same thing happened, right? And so the referee saw it right away that, yeah, something might need to be looked at here with the net, as the goaltender Quinlan is having a conversation with the referee right now. I don't think he's knocking that net off on purpose.
No, here come the tools.
So we've got a gentleman with a great beard onto the ice with a toolkit. I'm guessing it's going to be a drill. Here, we'll do play-by-play of a net fixing situation.
Right now, a team that's coming to Sudbury Coop trailing Sault Ste. Marie by a score of 4-0 halfway through the second period. So the Sioux leading Oshawa 4-0. Other games of interest right now, Brampton and Niagara, 2-0 for Brampton. The Pete's losing out to Kitchener 3-1. Barrie, those Colts, 2-1 over Ottawa. And one other game to pass along of interest, Kingston and Flint tied at 1.
All right. The net situation is cleared up here at the Sudbury Arena. 5:08 to go in the second period. Tied up at 1s. Brian Cooper alongside Rick Wyman. If you're watching online, shout out to you. If you're listening, hey, we appreciate you hanging out with us on a Friday night. Face off inside the Sarnia zone, won by the Sting. Fisher, the St. Louis Blues prospect, will try to clear for Sarnia. Does not get too far, so the Sting will try again. Reese, a forward pass, and he's absolutely nailed by Villeneuve. I don't know, Rick, Villeneuve has really been turning up his physicality this period.
Well, he's missed a couple of games with an injury, but he looks like he's 100% tonight.
Sarnia back in their own ends. Reese and Villeneuve got mixed up for a couple of seconds. Gahan for Sarnia into the Sudbury zone. Shot comes deflected high and wide. Manza going to be worked on by Martin of Sudbury. Ewells putting it off the glass. Almost missed the glass as well. Eventually back into the Sarnia zone. Sarnia firing it into the Wolves' end. Icing is going to be called off. We've got somebody's equipment that just went flying inside the Sudbury zone too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bodies trying to poke the puck free and along the corner boards inside Sudbury zone. Finally, Sarnia finds it. They'll keep it in. No shot comes yet. O'Coin from the outside. Good blocker save made by Chartier. And the Wolves back the other direction. Nearly sprung on a breakaway was Villeneuve. And then Alex Ferran kind of put himself offside as Villeneuve was still inside the Sarnia zone.
Well, we've seen better games here at the Greater Sudbury Community Arena, but we also have another period to play. So perhaps there could be some redemption for either the Sting or the Wolves. But beautiful goal by Sudbury's Nathan Villeneuve to tie things up. And that's where we stand late in the second period.
Face off just outside of the Sarnia zone. Sting win it. Off to the races goes Cameron O'Coin. Big hit thrown by Ethan Dean of Sudbury. Gets the puck back to Blonda, but Sarnia will keep the puck in. Not for long, though, says Blonda. Cross the red line. He gets nailed and along the boards. Quick up to Dean. Puck hits the skate of the linesman. Dean over to Henderson. Henderson drop pass for Clayton. The shot deflected into the corner. Good sequence there for this line for Sudbury. Clayton for the Wolves. Back to the blue line. Blonda gets a wrister off. Purposely wide. Rebound is there for Dean, who will chase down the puck. Dean for Sudbury, back around the Sarnia net. Henderson has his stick lifted. Dean is on it. Little drop pass for Henderson. Good pressure right now from the Sudbury line. Clayton, Henderson, and Dean. Henderson in the corner. Dean comes in to help out. Bodies crashing, banging along the boards. Sarnia will get the loose puck back in their own end. And this line for Sudbury.
Icing.
We'll look to get a change going. Icing's going to be waved off after Sarnia wins the battle and wins the race into the Sudbury zone. Sarnia skates it around. Wolves with the line change as well. 2.5 to go, by the way, in this second period. Blonda for Sudbury. He's been out for quite some time, handing it off to Odell. Odell, quick up to Provorov. Provorov to Bodie Ryan. Ryan over to Barahowski. Barahowski is shot. That one's deflected wide. Barahowski taking the puck in the corner. Gonchar and Wilson, new defenseman out for Sudbury right now. Gonchar back to Wilson. Wilson lobbing it into the Sarnia zone. Wolves will watch the puck go by. This could be icing. And that will be an icing call made against the Sarnia Sting with just under 2 minutes remaining in the second period.
Not the sharpest of plays by Sarnia, forcing that face-off deep in their own end. So again, good opportunity for the Wolves to orchestrate set play. Scott Barney, I'm sure, has run through these situations countless times in practice. So we'll see how it pans out here late in the second period.
Face off inside the Sarnia zone. Provorov for the Wolves to take the drop. Face-off is won by Sudbury. Barahowski's shot comes steered aside by the stick of the goaltender Quinlan. Sarnia unable to get the puck out of their own end yet. Shot from the blue line from Bodie Ryan. And I believe the puck may have just squirted out, so we got a whistle on the play.
So between injuries and circumstances, the Wolves with a few new faces in the lineup filling in this evening, and hey, it's still a 1-1 game, so anything's possible. Someone has to step it up in the third period.
Yeah, injuries. I know Chase Coughlin is out of the lineup tonight for Sudbury. Face-off inside the Sarnia zone, 1:46 to go in the second period. Sarnia getting it off the boards. Walton cannot hold it in. The Sting will take it right back. Sarnia inside Wolves' end. Around the Sudbury net goes Backs. Backs to the blue line. A wrister purposely wide. Shot comes. Pad save for Chartier. Rebound is there, and it's in the back of the net, but Sarnia is going to argue. Referee says he blew the whistle, perhaps. I don't know. What's your read here, Rick?
Well, the arms went up. Anytime that happens, Coop, it's no goal. You'll recall that a goal has to be counted. Referee normally points at the net with the puck in the net. His arms went up as if to say the puck is frozen or he's lost sight. So no goal.
No goal. A minute 26 to go. No review or anything like that, in case you're wondering. Play will continue.
Just love it when you always ask me about these situations in refereeing. It's like, hey, it's like I'm on the ice.
There you go.
I'm refereeing tonight.
Inside the Sudbury zone, Wolves win it. They fire it around their own net. Sarnia unable to poke it in until now. They just fire it around the Sudbury net. Odell picks it up for the Wolves. Back to Blonda. To Odell. Final minute of play to go in this second period. Wolves firing into the Sarnia zone. Goaltender Quinlan will just steer it aside. Odell puts the reverse lights on. Quick up to Henderson. Henderson skating it into the Sarnia zone. Shot came from Clayton and went wide. Sarnia overskates the puck, but they will keep possession of it. Eventually right through the neutral zone. Picked up by Luca Blonda of Sudbury. Henderson burst of speed into the Sarnia zone. Couldn't get a shot off. Kind of trickles to the crease of the Sarnia net. And the goaltender Quinlan will hang on for another faceoff.
Quinlan wisely holds on for the faceoff. That could have been dangerous, but we've got 35 seconds to go here in the second period and a chance for the Wolves to set up. Villeneuve out there with Walton, having a few words just before the puck is dropped.
Villeneuve, Chauvin, and Walton up front. Yules and Gonchar on the back end. Face off inside the Sarnia zone. 35.6 left. Diorio is going to be asked to step out.
Yeah.
So taking it is Easton Wallows.
Referee didn't like, or the linesman didn't like the activity in the face-off circle.
Face-off won by Sudbury. Walton got the shot off, and it was a blocker save for the goaltender Quinlan. Sarnia back the other direction. Opportunity for a scoring play here as they're inside the Sudbury zone. Wolves back to help out. Those forwards are anyways in a defensive way. So Sudbury will skate it back. Walton the other way into the Sarnia zone. Walton waits. Pass across looking for Villeneuve. Nate Villeneuve. Another cross-ice feed for Walton. Walton gets a shot off. Blocker save made by Quinlan. Final few seconds of the period. Pass out in front. Sarnia will find it, and that'll do it for period number 2 between Sudbury and Sarnia, as Kieran Walton and Nate Villeneuve continue to have a conversation, but a good one, good constructive chat about, hey, what do we like about that last play? Wolves finally got some shots on net, but it's Sarnia leading the way in that category, 24-15 after 2 periods of play.
Walton couldn't get that shot away quick enough because there was a Sarnia stick that got in the way and kind of deflected the puck off to the side. So again, not a clear passage. Wolves only with 15 shots on goal here in this game, and they've got to pick it up here in the third. Not a bad period. I mean, the Wolves did tie things up on that goal by Villeneuve, but this hasn't been a stellar performance by the Sudbury Wolves offensively, and that's got to get better.
Couple goals, though, that period. It was Beckham Edwards' 11th of the season from Young and Wallows. By the way, Easton Wallows coming into this game ranked number 5 among rookies in the Ontario Hockey League. And And then for Sudbury, they did get one back on the power play. Nate Villeneuve, his 11th of the season from Walton and Barahowski. And with that assist, Walton now on a 10-game point streak. Walton is also on a 5-game goal streak coming into the game tonight as well. We'll have to see what third period has in store. Rick and I will step out for about 15 minutes, but then we'll be back to take you through third period action. 1-1 after 2 periods of play. Shots 24 for Sarnia, 15 for Sudbury. You're watching and listening to Wolves Hockey.
Jules here in Center, joined by the one and only Ian Campbell from CTV News Northern Ontario. How's it going tonight?
It's going amazing, Jules. How's everyone doing in Sudbury? I want to welcome you to CTV Night. We are so proud to be here as a partner of the Sudbury Wolves. I want to thank each and every one of you. If you've had a chance to come down to the concourse, we are collecting donations up until the end of the second intermission for a telethon. Happy Telethon Eve. Make sure you come and get your order in. We've got a few left. And make sure you, most importantly, tune into the telethon. The CTV Children's Christmas Telethon will be happening tomorrow from 2 to 11. You can tune in online. You can come see us in person. You can tune in on TV. And you can also make sure this year you can watch us on Crave as well. So 2 to 11, let's make sure has a great Christmas this year. So make sure you come down and see us. And go Wolves go. And Jules said she would let me do the honors. Who wants a t-shirt?
You gotta show them that you want it.
Lavera's reputation is hinged on the commitment to match exceptional talent with opportunities in the mining sector. With one of the most extensive databases of skilled laborers in mining, manufacturing, and industrial sectors in Canada, Lavera's approach ensures faster talent identification and better job fits. Whether you're seeking recruitment support in general labor or construction and mining, our expertise will equip you with seasoned professionals that align with your requirements. Talk to us today.
Network of partners have a variety of resources to help you find your way in every aspect of your
nailed it this time. Shoot it, sing it, and call it. Only at the Hockey Hall of Fame.
December 13th at Sudbury Community Arena. Get your tickets at starsonice.ca.
Wolves Nation, here we go! Please welcome back to the ice, your Sudbury Wolves! You check out our game sponsor tonight, CTV News Northern Ontario. Be sure to tune in tomorrow at 2 p.m. to watch the 77th annual CTV Blind Children's Christmas Telethon. Enjoy live, local entertainment, and get into the holiday spirit.
Welcome back inside the Sudbury Community Arena. Brian Cooper alongside Rick Wyman as we are just about set for third period action. Shots after 2 frames. 24 for Sarnia, 15 for Sudbury. And the goals? Well, we're tied up at ones. Nate Villeneuve scoring his 11th on the power play from Walton, who extends his point streak to 11 straight games. Barahowski picking up the secondary assist. And then it was Beckham Edwards, his 11th of the season from Young. And the number 5 ranked rookie in the OHL, Wallows, picking up the secondary assist, and that sets up third period action. Rick, what are your thoughts?
Well, I've had a couple of fans actually approach me after the second period and ask me, what do you think of the game? And I said, well, not too much right now. I want to see more offense. Fans want to see offense. And they agreed. So I'm just hoping right now that the Wolves can open things up and get things going and put on a bit of a show here in the third period. Hopefully, your call will be the key.
Well, maybe one of the best lines for Sudbury is kicking things off. Dean, Henderson, and Clayton kicking things off. They had a heck of a second period. Blonde on the back end, and Odell, who again has made his return to the lineup. Wolves with a steal right after a face-off win. Dean shot comes, and it's a save right off the hop. 10 seconds in by goaltender Patrick Quinlan. Not a whole lot of time to get settled in, but there's a good save.
That's a start. That's a start. That's what we want to see. Shots on goal, put the puck on the net, and see what happens. But lack of offense in this game. I mean, Sarnia with a bit more, but it's still 1-1.
Face-off will be to the side of the Sarnia net. Dean, who just got that shot off, will take the face-off, and he wins it cleanly. Back to Henderson. Henderson cycling it around. Burst of speed. Backhand out in front. Forehand, backhand, and he just missed. That was almost a 2-1 hockey game in favor of Sudbury. Good play from Henderson.
Your boy, Speedy.
Sarnia out of their own end across the center line into the Wolves side. Shot comes. Stick save made by Chartier. And look out, a shot from behind the Sudbury net. Nearly stunned Chartier. Another opportunity. Pass out in front of the Sudbury net. Picking it up will be Dean of Sudbury, who's taken down hard. Dean hard on the puck, though, over to Chauvin. Now Dean gets back to the Wolves bench, but Sarnia has the puck. Challenger across the center line into the Sudbury zone. Van Volsen right around the Sudbury net, and Sarnia is on it. Ben Pickle on the forecheck, being worked on by Blonda. At the blue line, Sarnia, shot comes. It goes wide. Sarnia unable to keep the zone. They get it right back in though. Diorio. Now some pushing and shoving between Blonda and Diorio. And we have a whistle on the play.
You don't want to be taking a bad penalty at this juncture of the game right now. Early here in the third period with the score tied at 1. Why do I have a feeling we're going to be heading into overtime tonight?
Whoa. 1842, man.
I know it's only 8:54, but the way this game is continuing, we'll see.
Face off inside the Sudbury zone. Won by the Wolves. Ferran. Up to Provorov, who will fire it around the Sarnia net. Barahowski on the forecheck for the Wolves. Ferran in deep, digging. Gets it to Provorov. Ferran receiving a pass right back. Provorov, shot comes. Good pad save, and probably his biggest from Patrick Quinlan. Sarnia back the other direction, led by Fisher. And now we got a whistle on the play again. I believe offside is the call against Sarnia. Possibly the biggest save of the game for the Sarnia goaltender, Patrick Quinlan, who came into the game tonight with a record of 3-10, 2-1, and 0. And that was a big pad save for him.
Using that right leg, posted along the ice, and again keeping this score tied at 1. Face-off outside the Wolves' blue line.
And that face-off is won by Sudbury. They'll move it around, led by Gonchar. Puck takes a weird bounce right back onto the stick, though, of Gonchar, who's off to the races, poking it into the Sarnia zone. Gonchar drops for Barahowski. Shot from the outside, and it's right into the logo of the goaltender, Quinlan. And a little bit of pushing and shoving. You know, this game, I mean, the two teams don't see each other very often. Last time they played each other was in September, but has not really been a whole lot of, physical intensity between these two.
No, and the thing is, when you don't play a team, when you only play a team twice, once at home and once away, that's what you're going to get. Put them in the same conference or in the same division. That's why things always heat up between Sudbury and Barrie.
Well, it's interesting because you would have said the same thing. You remember the game when Saginaw was in town? That was different. You would have thought those two teams played each other a lot, right?
Depends on the team.
Yep. Face off inside the Sarnia zone, won by Sudbury. Walton with the shot, blocker save for Quinlan. Sarnia will get it to the center line. Walton back to help out defensively. Walton with Chauvin and Villeneuve. Villeneuve bats it into the Sarnia zone. Cameron O'Coin, defenseman for Sarnia, puts the brakes on behind his own net. O'Coin winding his way up across the center line to Brown. Brown for Sarnia around the Sudbury net. As Sarnia looks to get a shot on net at the very least, but it's broken up by Hudson Martin of Sudbury. Walton across the blue line, backhand pass for Chauvin. Chauvin deep inside the Sarnia zone. Pass that gets to Villeneuve. Nate Villeneuve, stick lifted, but still has the puck all the way back into the Wolves' end. Villeneuve, he's got Blonda to his side as well as Odell, and now Villeneuve says, I want to go for a skate. Seattle Kraken prospect all the way into the Sarnia zone. Helped out by Walton, except the pass was beyond his reach. And so the puck will come all the way back as Blonda gets sent into the Wolves' bench. Odell around the Sudbury net to Blonda. Off the glass to the center line. And Barr all the way back for Sarnia. Here come the Sting. Young making his way into the Sudbury zone. Shot comes, deflected just wide. Another shot from the blue line, deflected straight up in the air. Where is it? Everybody lost it. And I lost it. I think it landed in the Wolves bench. As all of a sudden Scott Barney put both hands over his head. Duck for cover.
Yeah, just popped up and out of play. So face-off coming deep in Sudbury territory here after a couple of minutes. Not quite 4 minutes gone here in the third period, and a late line change.
Face-off inside the Sudbury zone. Clayton for the Wolves. Chase Gahan for the Sting. Draws one cleanly by, looked like Sudbury for a second, but Sarnia with some active sticks at the face-off dot. Puck just around the Sudbury net. Odell, time and space to move it out. Across the boards. He's taken down. Gets the puck into the Sarnia zone. Gahan all the way back for the Sting. Around the Sarnia net. Handing it off to the side where Young moves it forward. Eventually into the Sudbury zone. Around the Wolves net. Blonda first on it. Off the boards, right into the skates of Lehman. Lehman's back there for Sarnia around the Sudbury net. Odell. The two defensemen for the Wolves are back trying to kick the puck loose. Blake Clayton trying to dig the puck free, and he does. Up to Henderson. Henderson off the boards to Clayton. Clayton across the red line. Little drop pass for Dean. Back to Henderson. Henderson, backhand opportunity. It goes high and does not miss by a whole lot.
Right idea.
Henderson, good back check. Pokes the puck right back into the Sarnia zone, and that gets a line change rolling here for the Sudbury forwards. Henderson, Clayton, Dean are off. On is Provorov, Berehowski, and Farad. Sarnia poking the puck back into the Wolves' end. Provorov, as the defenseman will pass it around. Gonchar quick up to Yules. Yules to Berehowski, deflecting it into the Sarnia zone at the 5-minute mark just about. Inside this third period as Provorov just collided with Quinlan accidentally. Sarnia into Wolves territory. And Sarnia, they kind of run out of real estate, so Fisher turned all the way back. Fisher back to his fellow defenseman, Jacob Reese. Not a whole lot going in this third period so far.
It's been pretty quiet.
Sarnia deflecting it just barely into the Sudbury zone. Actually went off the skate of a linesman. Now Sarnia picks things up a little bit, but Sudbury with the loose puck. Gonchar. Forward pass to Provorov. Provorov up to Ferran. Back to Provorov. Provorov waits. Cross ice feed to Gonchar. Waits, fakes, takes, and it goes wide. Sarnia finding it behind their own net. They'll lob it to the center ice area. Picked off by Provorov. Provorov for Sudbury. Lobbing it just to the side of the Sarnia net. Sticking his stick out there was the goaltender Quinlan. Right over to Ben Pickle. Pickle burst his speed, eventually into the Wolves' end. The shot purposely wide into the glove, though, of goaltender Carson Chartier. Wants to settle things down here as we have a little break in the action.
Quick game. It's only 9 o'clock. Here we are, 13 minutes left in the third period. Compared to last week, Coop, well, we didn't get out of here until, what, almost 10 to 10.
I remember.
Just a long night last week, of course, with constant stops and scrums. But tonight things are moving along. Very few penalties. And we've got a timeout. We'll take a look at what's happening out of town. Don't forget Oshawa coming in on Sunday. And an update on that game in the Sioux 7-2. Sault Ste. Marie, 2 seconds left in period number 2, so the Greyhounds en route to that victory as well. The Petes getting hammered by Kitchener 6-1 early in the third. Barrie leading Ottawa by a score of 3-1. Barrie and Sudbury hook up again, in case you missed it the first couple of times, this time in Barrie on December 18th.
That's matchup number 6, if my math is correct. Wow. 6 of 8, though. 6 of 8. Face off inside the Sudbury zone. Won by the Wolves. Blonda will poke it to the center ice area. Sarnia all the way back. Villeneuve and Walton are watching it. Sarnia gets it right back to the center ice area. Wolves put it around their own net. Villeneuve waiting in along the boards. Quick up to Chauvin. Chauvin forward pass beyond the reach of Walton. And then Chauvin will come back to help out defensively. Nearly coughs up the puck. As Sarnia looks to take advantage of that inside the Sudbury zone. A shot from behind the red line that misses the mark. And so now Villeneuve, a stretch pass that gets onto the stick of Walton. Kieran Walton, backhand flipper to Villeneuve. Villeneuve to Walton, deep inside the Sarnia zone. Kieran Walton, an opportunity, and what a goal! Highlight reel for the Winnipeg Prospects. Oh, man. The big winger using his reach, using his side, his size, using his stride to his advantage. Not a whole lot the Sarnia goaltender could do, and what a goal for Kieran Walton.
Couple of good moves in that face-off circle to Quinlan's left. Then he makes the cut from deep in the face-off circle going towards the net, and looks like Quinlan was mesmerized with that stick handling.
Unbelievable.
That's pro skill. That's why he's a drafted player by the Winnipeg Jets.
Goal number 18 on the season. Walton, after this game, he's on an 11-game point streak and now officially on a 6-game goal streak.
Batted ahead.
2-1 Sudbury. 12:50 to go in the third period. Sarnia now looking for the equalizer. They scored the first one back in the second period. And then Villeneuve tied things up. Now Walton's got his 18th of the season. Wolves break out of their own ends. Ferran into the Sarnia zone. Alex Ferran had his stick lifted. Now he hangs on to his stick. No arms are in the air. Wolves retreat back in their own zone. Ewell's putting the reverse lights on. He's got Artem Gonchar to his side. Hands it back to Gonchar. Wolves will slowly make their way ahead. Now it's Clayton across the center line. A little backhander that will get into the Sarnia zone. Sarnia finding the loose puck as they get it across the center line into Wolves territory. Shot comes, I believe, off the glove, or I think it went off the glove of Chartier into the mesh, but either way, good save for him.
Well, the atmosphere is certainly picked up in light of that goal by Walton. And again, Kieran Walton on a tear of late, even with Villeneuve out of the lineup prior to tonight's game. So Villeneuve missing a couple of games. But again, Walton, he's got the skill, and the scouts want to see constant development. And they're hoping that it could come to total fruition by the end of this year, because next year looks like he could wind up be playing in the A somewhere or Pro League hockey.
Play continues here at the Sudbury Community Arena. Brian Cooper alongside Rick Wyman. Wolves take it across the center line, back into the Sarnia zone. Villeneuve, a shot comes, and it's gobbled up by the goaltender, Quinlan. And Nate Villeneuve has a conversation with Brenner Lamans in front of the Sarnia net, perhaps trying to draw a penalty, but they both kind of skate away from each other.
So if the Wolves really trade Walton and Villeneuve, who's going to do the scoring? That's a big question that fans have got to consider between now and the October 10th deadline in the OHL.
It's a very good rhetorical question. Thought-provoking. Nicely done, Rick.
There you go.
I like that.
I come up with one of those every once in a while.
There we go. You should write those down. Face off inside the Sarnia zone. Won by the Sting. Wolves get a line change. Sarnia takes it into the Wolves' ends. From the outside, shoulder save made by Chartier. Another shot came from Sarnia, and that was deflected off of the skate of Clayton in front of the Sudbury net. Clayton takes his man down to the side of the Sudbury net. A couple bodies go down in a heap, and we've got a hand pass with 11:14 to go in the third period. So Sarnia losing in North Bay last night. In the Nickel City this evening. They've got tomorrow off, and then they're in the Sioux on Sunday, which might be a snowy drive for them. And for the Sudbury Wolves, they get to stay put. A 4-game homestand now. They've got Oshawa Generals in town on Sunday afternoon. You and our pal Dave Bowen will have the call in just a couple days for that one.
Sure, David's anxious for that one and looking forward to it on Sunday.
Face off won by Sudbury. They're inside their own end. Odell moving it forward, deflected into the Sarnia zone by Henderson. Nearly sent flying. Henderson finding the loose puck, cuts across the middle, gets a shot off, and it's deflected wide. Wolves trying to maintain possession, but Sarnia will get it to the center line and out. Van Volsen. Quick up for the Sting. Puck goes just on around the Sudbury net. Couple bodies that took a tumble right in behind the Sudbury crease. 1, 2, 3 Sudbury skaters, a couple Sarnia skaters in there. Finally, the puck squirts loose. And then it's in along the boards again.
Oh,
my goodness. Finally.
Referees just letting the guys scrum it out.
Finally, it gets loose back into the Sarnia zone. Stinger going to fire a backhander into Wolves territory. And that is going to be an easy icing call made against the Sting, as a little bit of frustration on the Sarnia bench, some miscommunication as well, as a draw will happen deep inside the Sarnia zone. And not a lot of changes can happen as a result.
Well, time a factor for Sarnia and the Wolves. Looking at that clock, they'd like to add one more to get that boost. The 2-goal spread would be great.
Face-off inside the Sarnia zone. 2-1 Sudbury. Draw one cleanly by Sarnia. They pull it just behind their own net. Walton's skating closely by. keeping a watch on the forecheck. Puck still hemmed in around the Sarnia net. Now the Sting move forward, led by Alessandro Diorio. Around the Sudbury net.
Are you going to Italy shortly?
I kind of want to. It is a great last name. Puck inside Wolves territory. Walton, little dipsy doodle. Goal and an assist on the night tonight for him. Nate Villeneuve, also a goal and an assist as the puck is back inside the Sarnia zone. Wolves are pressing, and Provorov nearly finding a loose puck inside the Sarnia zone. Sarnia has had some of those defensive kind of meltdowns in this third period, Rick. They come into this game last place in the Western Conference. They've had their struggles, that's for sure. Puck inside the Wolves end, led by Ferrand across the center line. Ferrand going the distance, drop pass. He was hoping Barahowski would trail the play. Wolves get it at the center line. Gonchar, quick up to Barahowski. Barahowski putting it around the Sarnia net. Ferrand is there. Gets Diorio in a bit of a headlock. Play continues. Wolves doing a great job pressing, and now we've got an arm in the air. And we've got a hooking penalty coming. I believe it's going to be against the Sudbury Wolves, and yes, Provorov is arguing his case. Off to the box he goes.
Coop, a wise man told me years ago that, and you can tell in any lineup sheet, how many drafted players do you have in your lineup? Sudbury Wolves, of course, have 4, but Sarnia, why are they struggling? Fisher is the only player drafted by St. Louis, and people say that it's a clear indication of players that, well, you're not getting good enough players to be drafted by NHL teams. Thus, your club team at the junior level has a tendency to struggle.
Inside the Sudbury zone, Sarnia is on it. Diorio. As Sarnia is on a power play now, a chance to get the equalizer. They're set up inside the Sudbury zone. A good power play for Sarnia. That's been a shining star for them. Shot comes, glove save for Chartier. He read that one, and Edwards kind of shaking his head as he didn't put a whole lot on that wrister.
No, but Chartier's had that glove dialed in all night long, so he's making it look easy. And again, keeping the score 2-1, but getting back to that whole aspect about drafted players, more players you get drafted by pro teams, the more money you get from NHL teams, and that speaks of the success that your organization has in terms of drafting good, solid players.
Face off inside the Sudbury zone. Alex Ferrand to take the draw for Sudbury. And Ferrand does win it and pokes it to the center ice area. Good win for him. Sarnia will have to get started again. 8.5 to go in this third period. 2-1 is the score in favor of Sudbury. Fisher, speaking of which, will glide his way into the Sudbury zone and get set up on the power play. Fisher for Sarnia, cross ice to Diorio. Diorio to Van Volsen. Sarnia set up at the blue line. Is Fisher. He will wait. Cuts across. One-time shot comes. Chartier, big save again. That time it was a pad save, and the Wolves will do the rest and clear the zone. Fisher, that St. Louis prospect, skates out of the Sarnia zone into Wolves territory. Pretty much identical setup again as the Sarnia club. They for sure are good on the power play, but this time it's Sudbury picking it loose. Short-handed 2-on-1 rush. Opportunity to the side. Villeneuve waits. Shot comes. Deflected. Where is it? Into the equipment of the defenseman. Villeneuve taking his man down. Looks back at the referee. Loses a stick in the process. Sarnia into the Sudbury zone. An arm is in the air as it will be a penalty, I believe, going to Villeneuve. Wolves are going to touch up the puck as the referee is going to point at the Wolves captain. Off to the box he goes. Villeneuve wants to go to the bench. She disagrees. And he's going to argue his case.
Well, I'm looking at that play as well, and I'm not terribly impressed by that call, but Villeneuve thought he was tangled up, and the penalty goes to Sudbury. So 2 guys in the box for the Wolves. Great opportunity here for Sarnia. We'll see what happens, but again, time for the penalty kill to shine for Sudbury in this case. Now we've got a timeout called, so coaching staff for the Sting and the Wolves, respective coaching staffs. You see, that's how the referee interpreted that. Maybe as an interference call, but Villeneuve's gone 5-on-3.
5-on-3 for 27 seconds. And then Sarnia will have an extended power play right after that, as Provorov is still in the box for the Wolves. Villeneuve is still giving the stink eye to the referees after being sent to the sin bin.
And Coop, I've stressed in the time that I've known you and have done hockey with you that a lot of refereeing is all interpretational. What a referee sees, the average fan may not. It's all based on angles and what the referee or referees interpret as perhaps a penalty situation. So you may think it's legit that Villeneuve was justified in pleading his case, but obviously the two guys in stripes make the final call.
They make the rules. We're just up here. Play continues. Wolves on a 5-on-3 penalty kill. Sarnia is set up in the Sudbury zone looking for the equalizer. Fisher to Diorio. Cross ice to Fisher. Fisher at the blue line. In deep. Back to Fisher at the blue line. He waits. Hands off. One-time shot comes. Pad save for Chartier. And the Wolves will clear the zone led by Blake Clayton. Sarnia getting it right back and nearly coughing it up. Shorthanded rush.
Well, that was Quinlan passing the puck all the way up to the Wolves' blue line.
And 5-on-3 is done as Provorov is out of the box for Sudbury. It's a 5-on-4 for another minute 20. Sarnia with 6 minutes and 30 seconds left in the period looking for the equalizer. Puck sent back into the Sarnia zone. The Sting will move it forward, led by Lucas Fisher. Fisher drop pass, and he gives it away. Short-handed opportunity for Ferran. A shot! Forehand, backhand, and he nearly made it 3-1 right there. That would have been a crusher for Sarnia. Ferran still short-handed pressure, looking for Dean. Sarnia getting it to the center line. Brown skates it into the Sudbury zone. Ferran in behind the Sudbury net. Seems like everybody's in deep inside the Sudbury zone as the Wolves are trying to kill off the rest of this penalty. 30 seconds to go. Sarnia finding the loose puck off the boards. It goes. They'll just barely keep it inside the Sudbury zone. Young with a shot. His stick is lifted and takes down Dean in the process. Fans are going to call for a penalty. Wish is not granted. Sarnia just inside the Wolves end. 10 seconds left in the power play. Sarnia continues to move it around. Young waits, cross ice, no shot from the blue line. Now on the outside is Sarnia. Sarnia, another cross ice feed. Pickle couldn't get a shot off. He hangs on. Villeneuve is out of the box. Even strength. The Wolves have killed it off. Blonda around the Sudbury net. Over to Odell, who's out of gas for the Wolves. Sarnia still inside the Wolves end, trying to get that equalizer. Young is shot, and it's deflected wide. Blonda puts it off the glass to center ice and out. Wolves get a full line change. Look out. Sarnia in a hurry back into the Wolves end. O'Coin cross ice feed. He runs into Ewells and Chauvin back to help out defensively. 5 minutes to go in the third period. Hudson Martin for Sudbury slows it right down as his forwards get set up. Walton overskates the puck on purpose. Hands it off to Ewells. Ewells a forward pass to Walton, who dangles his way through the center ice area. Now, not liking what he sees, turns around and look out. Fired it right into the linesman. That took him out.
Oh, I've been there.
Guess that's why the linesmen and referees wear some equipment as well. Puck through the neutral zone. Sarnia trying to gain access to Wolves territory. Sarnia pushed back into their own ends. Gahan will lob it into the Wolves' ends as Challenger puts the pressure on Sudbury. 4:05 to go in the third period. Wolves are up 2-1. Wolves will skate it out of their own ends. Henderson takes it down the wing. Barahowski backhand pass intended for Clayton. Clayton taking it along the boards. Sarnia will skate it out. Picked off by Gonchar. So Henderson burst of speed into the Sarnia zone. Henderson forward pass to Barahowski. Back to the blue line. Gonchar waits. Hands it off to Ferran. Alex Ferran back to Gonchar. Wind up slapper from Gonchar. And it's gobbled up by the goaltender Quinlan.
Well, you mentioned just a couple of minutes ago, that was a long sequence of play about wishes. Wishes are granted at Christmas time, Coop. You know that.
That's right.
Every kid has got a wish, but in this situation, the Wolves' wish is to hang on and pull out 2 points. Now, many years ago, a CFL coach by the name of Bob Vespasiani coached in BC. He also coached college football, where I first met Robert. And I asked him one time about his interpretation of the game, and he said, "You weren't impressed?" And I said, "Pretty lackluster affair." And he said, "You know what, Rick? Winning doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to be effective by 1 point in terms of getting one more point than your opponent." So regardless of what we're seeing here this evening, it's all about the Wolves leading Sarnia 2-1. Is it a beautiful game? Not tonight. There have been better. And of course, if the Wolves can hang on, that's a huge win in their pocket heading into Sunday.
3.5 minutes to go in the third period. Face off inside the Sarnia zone. Chauvin to take the draw for the Wolves, and it's won by the Sting. Sarnia will take it around their own net. Along the boards, Edwards, who scored for Sarnia back in the second period, put it to the Sudbury zone, but it's found by Ewells. Henderson firing a pass across. At the center line it goes, and it's found by Gonchar, but Sarnia turns it right back. Rister coming, and a good save for the goaltender Chartier, as Edwards was standing right there, and no rebound on that play either. Shots 32 for Sarnia, 23 for Sudbury.
You go with Chartier if he wins this game. You go with him on Sunday?
Well, I mean, he's got tomorrow to rest up, right? And, I mean, this is his third straight game in the crease. I don't believe he had the start. I think in the loss in, was it Guelph? I believe it was Baronis who had the start, and then Chartier was called upon in that one.
Came in from the bullpen.
Yeah. But he's looked dialed in here tonight. Sarnia gets a shot off, and there's another glove save for Chartier. That glove hand has been so active tonight for him as well.
Listen, being a fan of goaltenders, I say go with the hot hand. If Chartier wins this evening in a 2-1 decision, and he's faced over 30 shots, so why not give him a shot against Oshawa? Oshawa's not the top team in the conference, so chances are you never know.
Face off to the left side of Chartier. 3:03 to go in the third period. Wolves are up 2-1. Kieran Walton, his 18th of the season, earlier this period from Chauvin and Villeneuve. 2-point night each for Villeneuve and Walton. Walton extending his goal and point streak. Goal streak to 6 games, point streak to 11 games. Sarnia back on their own ends. They'll chip the puck forward and get it into Sudbury's territory. We'll keep an eye on the goaltender for Sarnia here in the next minute or a bit and have a wait and see if he heads off to the bench. Sarnia will move it around. Reese, the defenseman for the Sting, around the Sudbury net. Bulls will find the loose puck, and Villeneuve will slowly skate it out, lobbing it to the center ice area. Sarnia finding the loose puck again as the goaltender Quinlan is looking at the bench, waiting for a cue. He's got his stick in the air saying, "Am I supposed to go?" Right now he hasn't gone anywhere, as Sarnia does not have possession of the puck inside the Wolves' end. In fact, Alex Ferran does. Wolves will lob it to center ice, and off to the races goes Chauvin. 2 minutes and a few seconds to go in the third period as Chauvin is deep inside the Sarnia zone. He's taken down hard by Fisher, and Sarnia will find the loose puck. Edwards into the Sudbury zone, as the goaltender Quinlan still looking for a cue from the Sarnia bench, and now he's off. Extra attacker is on for Sarnia. Shot comes from the outside, not on the Sudbury net. Sarnia is set up with the extra attacker, wide open cage back there for the Wolves to shoot at. Sarnia, they've got the pressure on inside the Wolves' end with 1:30 to go in this third period. Wolves are pressuring. Just about every body is in the corner trying to find the loose puck. Opportunity for Sarnia. Shot comes. Pat save for Chartier. And a biggie. He made a couple of those earlier in the game as well. And now the Wolves will lob it to the center ice area. Not enough for icing. Walton's going to chase down the loose puck, but that's going to be an icing call. I thought it was not going to have enough for icing, but it started to roll.
The linesman could have let them play it out, but he didn't. Chartier with a huge save there to preserve the lead, and again, Johnny on the spot making that clutch save. So pretty easy to make a 3-star selection tonight for the Sudbury Wolves, considering the guy playing goal tonight has made some big saves.
They just called a timeout. Still quite a bit of hockey to be played. I know a minute 9 doesn't sound like a whole lot, but in a situation like this, it's more than enough for any team.
And Coop, you never told me that Darian Hatcher is the new coach in Sarnia. You'll recall Darian Hatcher is a former North Bay battalion, or no, before the battalion, he played in North Bay.
That's right.
So he wouldn't be a battalion. And also played in the NHL with Dallas as a defenseman.
He was one of those real gritty defensemen that you hated to play against. I was, for years, Dallas Stars were like my first favorite team. Mike Modano, Brett Hall,
Oh, you
Darian
must have loved
Hatcher.
that 99 kick in Brett Hull against Buffalo then, right?
I mean, that's a classic moment, right?
That is a classic moment.
It has gone down in history, but when I hear that name, it brings me right back to my childhood. Those classic kind of green and black jerseys with the big star on it.
No, Darian Hatcher played with the Centennials in North Bay, then moved up to the pros and had a solid career. Now he's coaching the Sarnia Sting.
Face off inside the Sudbury zone, won by Sarnia. Empty net back there. Extra attackers out. Sarnia cannot hang on, and Young is forced to retreat. Final minute of play in the third period. Young, forward pass to Sarnia. Now they try again. They get inside the Sudbury zone. Villeneuve is back there for the Wolves, putting it off the boards. Henderson sees an empty cage, chasing down the Sarnia defenseman. Clayton is back there as well. Sarnia will get back into the Wolves' end. The Sting with a shot, and they fan on it. Sarnia, another shot. That goes off the mask of Chartier. Henderson off the boards. Wide open net for Henderson. He's going down the wing into the back of the net, and it's in. 3-1. And guess who? Speedy Rowan Henderson.
Not only did he shovel the puck into the net, he shoveled the defenseman into the net as well. So certainly fitting for Rowan Henderson. The defenseman went down. The puck had already crossed the line. 3-1 Wolves with 31 seconds here in the third period. So again, Chartier makes big saves. Henderson comes through, big goal.
We've talked about his speed, and Henderson just outright beat the Sarnia defenseman to the puck, and then proceeded to put the Sarnia defenseman in the net as well as the puck. 3-1, and that should ice this one here tonight with 20 seconds to go in the third period. Wolves inside their own end. Sarnia, maybe a final opportunity to make this at least a one-goal hockey game, as the Wolves will get it out, though. Final 5 seconds. Wolves will win,
Offside.
but an offside call is made with just a few seconds to go. So the last couple of weeks have been looking all right for Sudbury, especially on home ice. They've played some really strong hockey right here in the Nickel City.
Well, they're playing teams that are not at the top of the ladder in their respective conference or divisions, but again, these are the games that you have to win, and they've been doing a good job of winning these games. So we'll see what happens come Sunday against Oshawa.
5.6 seconds to go, and that'll do it. As the final buzzer will go, Sarnia will prepare for a road trip to Sault Ste. Marie. And the Wolves getting another big win, and it's led by the goaltender, Carson Chartier.
9-2 Sioux over Oshawa right now with about 8 minutes to play, so that speaks volumes about Sudbury's chances on Sunday.
Chartier, and that one feels good for him.
Okay, 3 stars are easy. I don't know about you. You figure out the order. I'm going Chartier number 1, Walton number 2, and Villeneuve number 3. Who you got?
For 3 stars?
Who you got?
Yeah, I'm going to say Chartier, Walton, and Villeneuve. I mean, you could also, with that last rush of Henderson,
you know, okay, if he finagles a way to get into the 3-star selection, that would be great, but Henderson played a solid game, but Villeneuve came to... I don't know, whoever's picking officially may want to interchange, but Walton and Chartier for sure, but Villeneuve or Henderson, good enough for me.
So they are just announcing the 3-star selection now.
We're going to check out the standings while we have a chance here.
Nate Villeneuve picks up the only assist on that empty net goal, by the way. That's 3 points for Villeneuve tonight. And so it's the Sarnia Sting member that picks up third star tonight.
Okay.
And credit to him, he comes out for a photo.
So Coop,
It's going to be Edwards who scored the only goal of the night.
Niagara sits 8th right now.
So Kieran Walton takes second star tonight.
That's a no-brainer.
A goal and an assist. He extends his point streak to 11 games, his goal streak to 6 straight games.
There you go.
And it's Carson Chartier picking up the win. In fact, that is win number 2 on the season for Carson Chartier, as he's smiling year to year going back to the Wolves dressing room.
I don't think these standings have been updated, but Niagara's up on Sudbury by 6 with one more win. So again, that is huge. Oshawa trailing now. They're not going to win tonight's game, so Sudbury gets some breathing room on Oshawa. So setting the stage for a big game come Sunday, Oshawa and Sudbury, 2 o'clock. And again, it's going to be interesting here. Come Sunday at 2, another situation where the Wolves have to win.
So a big night here tonight at the Sudbury Community Arena. Quick recap for you. There was no scoring in the first period. There were no penalties. And the shots were 12-6 for Sarnia after the opening period. Then we went to period number 2. Beckham Edwards gets his 11th from Young and Wallows. Nate Villeneuve gets a power play goal, his 11th from Walton and Barahowski. We finished off the second period like that, tied up at 1. And then the third period, it took a little bit for the pace to pick up in that third period, but the Wolves, they were strong, and it was led arguably by some massive saves from Carson Chartier. You know what, credit to is the other goaltender as well, Patrick Quinlan. He
played well.
Played well. I mean, obviously nothing he can do with an empty net goal. Close game altogether, but it was Carson Chartier picking up first star tonight. Kieran Walton's 18th. It is a goal that you're going to be seeing a few more times in the highlight reel. His 18th from Chauvin and Villeneuve. And then Rowan Henderson using his burst of speed to get the empty net. And Nate Villeneuve picking up a 3-point night tonight as well for Sudbury.
Well deserved. It took a while to get that offense rolling. But again, slow start for both teams. Third period picked up. But eventually the Wolves win, and they managed to put it all together for a victory, a needed one right now, heading into Sunday's matchup against Oshawa. Game time 2 o'clock with, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, David Bowen.
The one and only will have the call with Rick Wyman on Sunday afternoon. As for Sarnia, they got the day off. They're off to Sault Ste. Marie. Hopefully they don't have to deal with too much snow on the highway. But Sudbury's got the day off tomorrow before, yes, Oshawa Generals Sunday afternoon. Puck drop will be 2:05 p.m. One final time, final score here tonight at the Sudbury Arena. Wolves remain strong in the last couple of weeks on home ice. 3-1 is the final over the Sarnia Sting on behalf of Rick Wyman. The amazing crew here at the Sudbury Community Arena, including Cool Man Corelli, who's been standing right beside us for the entire broadcast. I'm Brian Cooper saying thank you so much for tuning in to Wolves Hockey. We'll see you again on Sunday.